The following presentation is best experienced with headphones. Greetings, honored guest, and welcome to the House of Branching Paths. Please step inside and follow me, and I shall lead you to the circle. Tonight, by Grandmaster Imris's insistence, the circle has convened in the library. Grandmaster Imris has been quite consumed with a task of late, and has spent all his time either wandering the halls or shut up in the library in research. So much so that he wished to continue researching until the moment you all arrived. Do mind the curio cabinet here. It is rather fragile. Though it is empty at the moment, it will not be so for long, I am sure. We are nearly there, but before we arrive, I want to give you a brief warning. Do not wander far from the entrance of the library or the company of the circle while you are in the library. The library is the room of the house where the stories are at their strongest, and not all stories have good intentions. No need to worry, though, so long as you are in the company of the circle, in whose capable hands I now leave you, for we have arrived. Ah, honored guests, it is a delight to see you here. Did you happen to walk by the curio cabinet that appeared this morning?
Oh, we're very excited to see it make an appearance again.
Especially since we have new trinkets to place in it.
Yes, you see, honored guests, we have had another guest arrive who frequents our balconies.
We've started having a crow visit us daily, sometimes twice daily, and Lady Morgana has taken to greeting them every time they arrived.
Well, I not only greet them, I'm trying my hand at communication as well, though crow speak is not the easiest to master. Oh, and I bring them gifts of my own.
Ah, the gifts! Come, honored guests, let us show you our collection.
Well, it all began with a simple twig, though it is a very pretty twig. I told the crow I was quite impressed with their work, so in return, I gave the crow berries from our garden.
And now we have gotten lost rings, buttons, pins, and the most curious of all, keys.
But we have yet to discover what they open.
I have been musing and perusing the house for what they could possibly be the openers to.
It's quite consumed Emrys's days.
It has to be connected. I've listened in on a conversation or two you've had with the crow, and they are the most well-spoken crow I've encountered in a great time.
They could simply be a cordial visitor. Nothing else has indicated they have a greater motive.
But where are they receiving the keys? Perhaps there is more to this. We haven't heard from the North Wind in quite some time. Perhaps they are leaving clues in the breeze for our crow and carrying them on their wings to us.
They may not even be keys to our house. Or what if it opens something that hasn't appeared yet?
I will find out. Nothing has been this exciting since...
Oh, I have something exciting, even more than the keys.
Not possible.
I assure you it is. The last gift that our dear crow brought to us was a friend.
A friend? You mean...
I mean a songbird, Emrys.
Do you think this may mean...
I think it may. I think our aviary may be back soon. Honored guests, it has been so long. Well, too long since our aviary has gone dark.
That would be delightful. In fact, you know what that means, Morgana.
Well, of course. In addition to the most beautiful tunes cascading down the halls.
It means correspondence with all realms. Just as our brother winds can travel between, so too can the creatures of the sky.
And in some cases, much quicker than we may be able to.
We can begin sending letters. Letters that may get answered.
Oh, Empress, our search may finally be looking up. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, for our crow might still yet only be a cordial visitor.
But they may also have a greater purpose. Look, my friend, I do believe I see the crackle of a story on those flames.
The fire burns bright, with stories ever knowing. Well, it seems you may be right. The flame never chooses a story without greater purpose.
Yes, honored guest, this story also has an element of flight.
And returning what has been lost.
We have another tale coming to us from Jakob and Wilhelm tonight.
Another Grimm Brothers fairy tale, first published in 1812. Jorinda and Joringel.
There once was an old castle in the midst of a large and thick forest, and in it an old woman who was a witch dwelt all alone. She was quite content in her solitude, for she mused.
In the daytime, I change myself into a cat or a screech owl. But in the evening, I take my proper shape again as a human being.
She could lure wild beasts and birds to her, and then she killed and boiled and roasted them. But people were a different story, the witch explained.
If anyone comes within 100 paces of the castle, they are obliged to stand still and cannot stir from the place until I bade them be free. But whenever a maiden comes within this circle, I change her into a bird and shut her in a wickerwork cage.
And the witch carried the cages into a room in the castle. She had about 7,000 cages of rare birds in the castle.
Now there was a maiden who was called Jorinda, fairer than all other girls. She and a handsome youth named Joringel had promised to marry each other. They were still in the days of betrothal, and their greatest happiness was being together. One day, Joringel asked Jorinda,
Might we be able to talk together in quiet? Jorinda answered,
Of course. Let us go for a walk in the forest. Joringel said.
Take care that you do not go too near the castle.
It was a beautiful evening. The sun shone brightly between the trunks of the trees into the dark green of the forest, and the turtle doves sang mournfully upon the young boughs of the birch trees.
Jorinda wept now and then. She implored to Joringel.
I must sit down in the sunshine. Perhaps that will cheer me.
But Joringel was sorrowful too. They were as sad as if they were about to die. Then they looked around them, and Jorinda asked,
Where are we? How did we get this far? Joringel was at a loss as well, for when he answered, he said,
I do not know. Stay close, Jorinda. The sun was still half above the mountain and half set.
Joringel looked through the bushes and saw the old walls of the castle close at hand. He was horror-stricken and filled with deadly fear. He called out,
Jorinda! But Jorinda was singing.
My little bird with the necklace red sings sorrow, sorrow, sorrow. He sings that the dove must soon be dead, sings sorrow, sorrow.
Joringel looked for Jorinda. She was changed into a nightingale and sang. A screech owl with glowing eyes flew 3 times round about her, and 3 times cried,
"Doo! Doo! Doo!" Joringel could not move. He stood there like a stone and could neither weep nor speak nor move hand or foot.
The sun had now set. The owl flew into the thicket, and directly afterwards there came out of it a crooked old woman, yellow and lean, with large red eyes, and a hooked nose, the point of which reached to her chin. She muttered to herself,
"Nightingale, nightingale, let us cage you away,"
and took the bird away in her hand. Joringel could neither speak nor move from the spot. The nightingale was gone. At last the woman came back and said in a hollow voice,
"Greet thee. If the moon shines on the cage, let him loose at once."
Then Joringel was freed. He fell on his knees before the woman and begged her,
"Please give me back my sweet Jorinda." But the witch said,
"You shall never have her again."
Joringel called, he wept, he lamented, but all in vain. Joringel could often be heard saying,
"Ah, what is to become of me?"
And he went away, until at last he came to a strange village, and there he stayed and kept sheep for a long time.
He often walked round and round the castle, but not too near to it. At last he dreamt one night that he found a blood-red flower, in the middle of which was a beautiful large pearl, that he picked the flower and went with it to the castle, and that everything he touched with the flower was freed from enchantment. He also dreamt that by means of it he recovered his Jorinda.
In the morning, when he awoke, he began to seek over hill and dale if he could find such a flower. Joringel thought to himself,
"If only I might find that dream flower, I might return my Jorinda. I must keep searching."
He sought until the 9th day, and then early in the morning he cried,
"I have found the blood-red flower, and look, the middle of it has a large dewdrop as big as the finest pearl."
Day and night he journeyed with this flower to the castle. When Joringel was within 100 paces of it, he was not held fast, but walked on to the door. Joringel was full of joy. He thought of his next steps.
"Now I shall touch the door with the flower. It has sprung open. Now to listen for the songbirds."
Joringel walked in through the courtyard and listened. He listened for the sound of birds, and at last he heard it. He went on and found the room from whence it came. Oh, and there was the witch feeding the birds in 7,000 cages.
When she saw Joringel, she was angry, very angry, and scolded and spat poison and gall at him.
"You should not be here. How did you get into my castle? This is not right. Leave, leave now."
But she could not come within 2 paces of him. He did not take any notice of her, but went and looked at the cages with the birds.
But there were many hundred nightingales. How was he to find his Jorinda again? Just then he saw the old woman quietly take a cage with a bird in it and go towards the door. Swiftly he sprang towards her and cried,
"Give me back my Jorinda!"
And he touched the cage with the flower and also the old woman.
She could now no longer bewitch anyone. The cage dropped open to the floor, and amidst a cloud of smoke-filled enchantment, Joringel heard faintly,
"My little bird, Joringel?"
And Jorinda was standing there, clasping him round the neck, and she was as beautiful as ever. The end.
If only our dear members of the circle would appear as simply as that.
Perhaps we should dream that our friends may return to us.
As birds?
As letters that birds carry.
Emrys, I fear you may be getting carried away in fantasy. Remember, we can be happy here. We have our guests now, and they know how important they are.
Yes, you are right. I will prepare myself more appropriately. It's just that birds are such whimsical creatures. They give you hope.
Indeed they do. They give you dreams that no one dares give you permission to.
Perhaps an ode to the larks.
Or a letter. A letter from us. Maybe a letter they bring back.
Now you've got it. A piece from Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Yes, honoured guests. Husband to the Mary Shelley, whose works we will visit another day.
A poem written in 1820 to accompany his lyrical drama, Prometheus Unbound.
To a skylark. Hail to thee, blithe spirit! Bird thou never wert, that from heaven or near it pourest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpremeditated art.
Higher still and higher from the earth thou springest, like a cloud of fire, the blue deep thou wingest, and singing still dost soar, and soaring ever singest.
In the golden lightning of the sunken sun, o'er which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun.
The pale purple even melts around thy flight, like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. Thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight.
Keen are the arrows of that silver sphere, whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear, until we hardly see, we feel that it is near.
All the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when the night is bare from one lonely cloud, the moon rains out her beams, and heaven is overflowed.
What thou art, we know not. What is most like thee? From rainbow clouds there flown out drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody.
Like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden till the world is wrought. To sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not.
Teach us, sprite or bird, what sweet thoughts are thine. I have never heard praise of love or wine that panted forth a flood of rapture so divine.
Chorus hymeneal or triumphal chant, matched with thine would be all but an empty vaunt, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want.
Waking or asleep, thou of death must deem things more true and deep than we mortals dream. Oh, how could thy notes flow in such a crystal stream?
We must look before and after, and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought.
Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know, such harmonious madness from thy lips would flow. The world should listen then, as I am listening now. The end. Emrys, look!
Ah! Our crow is back! Morgana, don't let them leave until we've both spoken to them. I'm running to the reference section to get my crow-speak dictionary.
Hello, my little one. What have you got today? A shell? Oh, this is from the beaches of Atlantis. Oh, my, you travel far. Here, have some fresh bread I've baked. You must be hungry from all your hard work.
Honored guest, please follow me. I'll lead you to our house ghost. Morgana and I have much work to do. We look forward to seeing you next time, but for now we must say goodbye.
Yes, my friend. I do believe I see the crackle of a story on those flames, but for next time. The fire burns low, with stories ever glowing.
Remember to mind the ghost.
Honored guests, come, follow me. You mustn't stay at our house for too long, or you may become a permanent resident. But you could stay. The crow is a lot of fun. No. You must go. Stay close behind my guests. Don't run into the curio. And whatever you do, don't answer any voices you hear on the way out. But do come back. Hearing the circle stories brings me to life.
You have been listening to The House of Branching Paths, a theatrical podcast experience created by Mark Kilmer and Caroline Miller. For more of our content, join us on our Patreon at patreon.com/The House of Branching Paths. For links to all of our social media and to find a comprehensive list of contributors, please follow our Linktree below. And for more stories like this and beyond, be sure to visit your local library. Thank you for joining us, honored guests, and remember, the fire may burn low, but the stories are ever glowing.